Hey guys, it's ANicWin, also known as Amy, and happy Monday. I hope you're having a lovely day. And yes, I really wave like that every single time I say that, even though no one can see me. Speaking of, hi, hello, you're seeing my face. I know that's normal, or not normal, abnormal. And I can't promise that this is something that you'll see every single time because this is not a lot of effort, but it's just not something I typically do. But I've done something a little different for this video, and the only way that I could think to make it transition smoothly, I don't know what that hand motion was, but the only thing that I could think of to do was to have my intro be my face. So almost a minute into explaining what we're doing here today, I have included timestamps down below in the description. If I can't put them in the description, they're in the comment box. If I can't put them there, they'll be in the chapters. They'll be somewhere. They will be available to you. So you can click on that and jump straight to the build and skip this part if you're not really concerned with the backstory. And that's why we have the face cam. So I built a fishing cottage. This is a studio cottage. It's got a small front porch, a small back porch, a pretty big bathroom, I'm not gonna lie to you, although I did not include a shower, and a small kitchen. I don't think this couple spends a lot of time indoors, honestly. I think they're outside, they're out and about, they're enjoying their life, and they wanted to downsize their home. So I created the family at the behest of a friend of mine, and I decided to kind of play with them. I used them to play test. I did not use them to build because I had built the entirety of the home before I made the family, and I decided to create a little 1-minute clip of who they are. I'm gonna talk over it kind of describing what's happening to you, and yeah, you're gonna be introduced to the family. Now, I don't think this video format is something I'm going to do every time, because I can't promise that I'll make the family every single time. But I think when I do, I'll include this. My face may not be included all the times, but I might do a little like quick little burst of this is who they are. And they'll always be available for download. When I make the families, like actually make them, I do upload them as well so people can have them. I'm a very average cast person. I don't typically play in cast. I never have. Through all the iterations, I'm in there long enough to get what I need, and then I'm out. So they're pretty basic, but I put a lot of detail. I took my time with them, and I really, really love them. I'm smitten with the home and the family, and I hope you enjoy them as well. So without further ado, I just really wanted to say that, forgive me. But without further ado, we're gonna roll into that footage and then into the build. And my face might stay. I don't know yet. You're gonna find out with me. So allow me to introduce you to Benjamin and Eileen Spencer. They have recently retired from their corporate jobs, and they have downsized their homes to this little cottage. Eileen is a creative sim type who spends her evenings on a bowling league with her besties or dancing in the kitchen with her husband when she can convince him that it will be romantic. Benjamin is the complete opposite. He's an introvert, a bookworm. He prefers the company of his own mind or nature to the company of other people. The only exception his entire life has been Eileen. They met when they were young children at school, and she knew from the moment she laid eyes on him that he was the one for her. He was a little bit slower to warm up, but now he can't imagine his life without her. She frequently interrupts his fishing with requests to take a walk. She asks him crazy questions like, what color is the wind? And why do you love me more than chocolate pudding? And while it confuses him to no end, he knows that the love that they have for each other is something to treasure. So here we are with the build. I think I mentioned briefly before that I was going to use terrain manipulation. I'm not sure if I did, but I did. That was part of the concept for this build, and I'm kind of looking over at the build and back at you. I hope that's not distracting, but that was the concept for the build. I did have an inspiration image of a pond. That was it. There was no building, and then I had a separate inspiration image of a building that is kind of shaped similarly but not the same at all, and I don't have either one of them now. I didn't pin them because I didn't find them on Pinterest, so I do apologize for that, but neither one of them really look like what you're seeing, so I don't feel like it's that big of a deal. Maybe it is, I don't know. But basically, I've built this little studio cottage, like I said, and I keep calling it a cottage and a cabin. I'm not really sure what it is yet. Professional. But I built this. I wanted them to have a little pond on the lot because I felt like it was just the move, you know. I feel like he would definitely, he being Ben, would definitely fish in it, but I felt like it was just going to play into that kind of rugged natural landscaping, which is what I wanted, which is why I used terrain manipulation. I did not want this to be flat, but I also didn't want it to be super commercial looking. I wanted it to look a little bit more rustic, slightly run down, a little bit like like wind worn, right? Like maybe there's some rust on the handrails and the fence has been blown over from the last storm and no one fixed it because they can't get to it. And there's a ton of rocks and dunes and stuff you can't walk on, but you can walk around them because it's nature and no one's going to disturb a sand dune. If you do, you're the reason the sea turtles are in danger, okay? Also, plastic straws, stop using them. I say as I use plastic straws, but still, leave the sand dunes alone. So I really loved the color scheme of this house, and I did lean pretty heavily on the cots. I was trying to say cats and dogs expansion pack and the cottage living expansion pack. Both of them come into play really heavily, and they just work together really, really well. And I think I also used them a couple builds ago or something, but it helped me achieve this kind of like worn down nautical vibe, which is really what I was going for. So I'm not sorry. But I promise the next build's not going to be related to this theme at all. So we'll get a break from some of that. But here I am. You saw the terrain manipulation kind of come together. It was pretty easy. I just built a platform that was about 14-ish square sim feet. And moved the house forward a little bit and then added some just like slopes going off along with a pond. Pretty simple. It probably sounded complicated as I hiccup, but I promise you it wasn't. It was actually really easy to do. The hardest part of this is I didn't put landscaping down first. So as I'm doing that now, and you're going to see a cut here in a second, I forget every single time. I forget that the plants float and I'm trying to manually lower them. I realize I'm gonna need tool and I'm gonna need a sim. So I grab my current test sim and I do that. So you're going to notice quite a few cuts, or you might not notice them at all, but they're there. I don't show every single plant that I lower. I show quite a bit of it because it's the build and it might be useful to someone, or you just might want to see how I go about it. I am meticulous in the way that I do one plant individually at a time. I know you can select multiple items at one time, but not every single thing is going to be lowered or raised to the same degree. So I do every single plant at one time. That's just the way that my brain can make tool make sense. And I don't regret it, but it is very tedious, which is why I don't use these features a ton. And I'm going to be honest, it feels like they gave us terrain manipulation and then didn't look at it again. So there are some things that are way harder than they need to be. And that's okay. I'm sure it's a complicated program. I have no idea. I'm not a web developer or game developer. I don't know. I just know how it feels. But we're working now on the front pathway. I could have done something going straight up. It just didn't feel like anything in this house was going to be uniform or in line. Everything was going to be kind of wonky, cast aside, and I really, really enjoyed doing that. I pulled these fences from the debug menu. I believe it's cats and dogs. Yeah, because you can see it in the background there. But I pulled it from cats and dogs. I pulled a lot from Get Together as well. Get Together is a solid pack, by the way, and their debug menu is one of my favorite go-tos. Just so you know. But I build in both of those worlds pretty frequently, so that's probably not surprising. But I did add quite a few trees as well. Some of them are not visible from like in the surrounding world. I do try to blend things in. I chose not to on a couple of things here. I wanted it to kind of look like maybe someone planted something or added something, because that's what you do, right? When you get a home, you want to make it your own. So I was trying to kind of play into both sides of that. Like, this house is very natural in its state, but it's also very obvious that someone lives here and they love this space and they take care of it. That was the thought. Hopefully that comes across. I don't know. I do add a ton of rocks. Like I said, I don't know if you've noticed, but Brindleton Bay and Windenburg are both really rocky. So is Granite Falls. But they're both really rocky, and I like adding rocks and things like that into my landscaping. I think honestly, it's because I'm from Kentucky and limestone is everywhere. Like there's a joke that you grow limestone in your front yard. You don't really grow it, but it does kind of erupt from the ground, which is so weird to say. But you could be mowing your grass and where there wasn't a rock, last week, there's like a massive 4-foot rock just chilling. And they're really that big. So I think I'm just used to it, and I like adding those little touches, and it reminds me a little bit of home. That's what I was trying to say there. But we're kind of continuing on with the landscaping. It is very similar on both sides. They don't really mirror each other. I hate the way I say mirror, but they don't really mirror each other, but they are similar enough that it looks like at one point this fence was probably more squared and intentionally placed, and it's just been warped by time and wind and rain and sand and all of the other things that go along with it. So I am imagining that this cottage is probably pretty old, maybe 1800s if we need a timestamp. Maybe even older, but it's been updated and cared for and loved throughout the years. I don't think it's been handed down through the families. I think this was probably a little vacation home or something like that, a summer house, maybe even a dowager's house. I don't know. It could be any of those things. But I really love this cottage. And I know I say that a lot about builds, but you do. As you're building them, you kind of get to know the structure, which is silly. But that's how it feels. It feels like you're getting to know something as you're putting it together. Now, I do place a pet bowl and that scratching post on the porch. They don't have a pet. I think Ben feeds the stray cat that kind of hangs out on the beach down there. I don't know his name, but I saw him a few times and he came up to the house, and he does eat from it if you fill the bowl up. So, or at least he did for me. But I think Ben's a softie and he kept that out there, but there's no litter box because they're not inviting him in. They just want to make sure that he's fed. I think it's a he. I can't really remember the cat's name at this time, but I'm pretty sure it was a male cat. But then we're continuing the landscaping down here. As you'll notice, it slips downward towards the beach. My accent's really trying to come out because I'm nervous. But everything slopes down. That was also intentional. Beaches kind of level out. The dunes might raise up, but this whole lot's not meant to be sand. So I'm trying to think realistically. It doesn't always work, but I think it did here. I had a ton of this grass everywhere, and I'm pretty sure the grass is from, I'm pretty sure it's in the cats and dogs. Yeah, it has to be. The cats and dogs debug menu, there's a really similar one in Windenburg's. I keep calling it by the world. In the get together world, that's a little bit more orangey. It kind of looks like wheat. I'm not going to lie to you. But I pulled some of that out as well, and I think the driftwood is actually from Get Together. I can't recall at this point. But this is us moving into the interior. Everything is paneled, and it's nice and bright and white. And I think that paneling was probably a wood tone at one point, and someone's painted over it, and they've continued to paint over it. Initially I was going to start in the kitchen. I cut that out because I wasn't happy with how it was going. So we start in what's going to be the bedroom area, which is also the living room, and it's also the dining room technically. So I gave them the bed that came with cats and dogs. I decided to go with the blue frame because the windows have that blue detail in it, and it's not an exact match because it's from, I think that's from Strangerville. I can't really remember, but it's from a different pack. But I wanted to play into the blue because blue is nautical. It just is. I don't make the rules. It is what it is. And I decided that since this bed has that nice flat shelf, I was going to clutter that up. Why not? If you're in a tiny home, you're going to make use of all of the surfaces that you can. So we see some plants, a bookshelf, that lighthouse because it's really cute and I never get to use that lamp, and a bowling trophy. So at some point, Miss Eileen has won at least one league bowl championship thing. I don't bowl, can you tell? But this is when I decided to switch the bathroom and the kitchen. That does mean that the bathroom is bigger, a lot bigger than the kitchen, but it was the only way the space was going to flow, and I stand by that. If you hate this, you can swap it back. I'm not married to it, but this felt more intimate to me, and it felt more realistic because I feel like the kitchen, if this was built around when I think that it was, the kitchen probably would have been fairly small, and right there. And there also would have been a fireplace, but you know, details. I didn't think about that till just now, literally just now. But we're putting together the kitchen. I did use the Country Kitchen Kit because it is my favorite. And you're gonna watch me struggle with the cabinets here in a minute. I like this corner piece, that one, the little tiny one, and I find it so hard to place realistically. And I finally get it, and then I hate where I put it. And that's just the way things go. And as per usual, I do mix that with the Parenthood kitchen, or not kitchen, cabinet, because they have similar swatches and they work well together, because that little piece is the plates with the Country Kitchen Kit, and it just looks weird above a fridge. I would never put my plates there. That's just me though. I'm cluttering the top of this, not refrigerator, stove, or range I guess it is, because again, limited on space, you're gonna take advantage, make the most. Words are jumbling together. You're gonna make the most of what you have. So we have a pitcher, we have a couple of plants, her utensils, a cookie jar, peppers or pickles, it could be what you want it to be, and some salt and pepper. And then I don't clutter that corner piece at all, because that's where you're gonna be preparing food. And I've had a problem, if anything is on a counter piece, anything, it doesn't even have to be in the way, my Sims aren't wanting to use it. So I erred on this side of caution, and I decided to make sure that that was open, but I clutter up around it enough that it doesn't feel empty to me. Now, if that routing issue does not affect you and you download this and you want to place stuff there, feel free, go for it. It bothers me that it's empty, I'm not going to lie to you. But I give them a couple of cutting boards there and a plant, and that's kind of what I use to fill the space. Then we move on to the little dining area. My throat is getting sore, I'm sorry. My allergies have been bothering me a little bit lately. But I give them a little dining area. I do use the Cottage Living table paired with the Seasons chairs. I went with the darker swatch initially and then decided it was too orange. And so I switched it to this, but I changed it back because I don't like that swatch. I'm going to be honest, I love that chair, hate that swatch. I don't like it at all. I use it every now and then. I kind of hate it every single time I use it. So if that's not commitment, I don't know what is. I also placed that little wheel, the captain's wheel, on the door. They can still use the door. They'll, by default, they want to use the back door for some reason, even though I set the other door as the front door. I don't know, but they can get through it just fine. It's not a routing issue. It's just a quirk. I don't know. But I like that little detail that sparked joy for me. Then we move here into the living room. I kind of flip-flopped on how I was going to lay this out so many times. I didn't know what bookshelf to use, and then I decided that's way too much blue for one little room. So we throw down the corresponding dresser that goes with the cats and dogs pack. I give them the tiniest TV, because like I said, I don't think they're in here that often. I think maybe they might watch the news before they go to bed, and that's about it. Maybe a Sunday night movie. I don't know. But they can sit on that little couch that's at the end of the bed, or they can sit in the bed now, thanks to that update. I put some canvases there. I think those are some that Eileen painted. And then there is a bookshelf that's not blocked, because I do block the other one or two. I can't remember how many I placed. But I blocked the other ones that are on this lot with things by all placing them. I placed some candles right on the top of this bookshelf, right by the wreath. It's probably a fire hazard. Proceed cautiously. I don't know. I don't know how to fix that for you, because I like the way that it looked. And then we're going to kind of clutter up beside the bed here. I did use a lot from Cats and Dogs. A lot. So if you don't have this pack, you're not going to be able to enjoy this build, unfortunately. But I tried to make sure not all of the clutter was Cats and Dogs. So we've got a smattering, a fair sample, if you will. And then I decided she's into knitting as well as painting. She could be into cross stitch as well, because that can be anywhere. The knitting bag goes in your storage, so that chair will also be available eventually. And then I give them a bedside table. I think this is his side of the bed, even though her things are on it. And the other one is her side with a chair. I don't know why. That's just the vibe I'm getting. You could disagree. That's totally up to you. But I just feel like he has so little of things that he's just like, yeah, whatever. And she's just kind of taking over the space. That's what I would do. I have so much stuff. I'm like, I need the space if you're not using it. We placed down a nice soft gray rug. That's my favorite rug to use. I think it's so pretty. even though it's got no color at all. And I toyed with the idea of including a coffee table, but that was going to clutter up that space so much. It was going to be so congested that I decided to forego it. If you want to add one, feel free. I think it would look great there. It just felt a little cramped. And then we jump into the bathroom. And I actually really love this bathroom. There is no shower. There is just a tub, a sink, but there is a second counterpiece. And that's not really what makes me love the space. It's the thing I hang on the back of the door, which you'll see in just a second. It's just a little coat rack. I love that detail. There it is. Don't ask me why. Sparks all the joy plus some. And then there's a bay window and I utilize that. And I typically do that. That's not new for me, but I decided to hang some of the hanging plants in the window. There's some towels, a candle, and maybe another plant. I can't remember, but you're about to see it. But on that note, I'm going to leave you guys here. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Please feel free to let me know. Give me feedback on any of the aspects of this. You can leave a like or a comment down below. You can subscribe if that's something that would spark joy for you. Of course, the screenshots will be posted on Instagram as per usual. If you want to head over there and check those out, I will try to post that little snippet of a video somewhere separately as well, but I make no promises. I will see you on Monday with my next video. And in the meantime, I hope you have a lovely day and a lovely rest of your week. Bye, guys.
Seem to lift my head straight, just laying in the shades with you. Win or lose, we take it easy, day by day. Oh, that's what we do. Watching people all stressed out, running through their lives, a game they play. 1,000 miles of sadness. I can be with you wherever, stay at home or in a foreign land. I can stay like this forever, 'cause I got the world in my hand. Don't you worry about tomorrow. Let's stay up until the morning light. Let the sun take care of your sorrow.